Welcome back, little scientists! In this episode of SN Science, we are answering the question, could we genetically modify our DNA to have a superpower?
We have grown up watching movies where famous superheroes get their powers by genetic modifications, like Spider-Man or Captain America, but we never thought that it was physically possible. Now, you might not be able to adjust your DNA to have laser vision or fly like Superman, but what about increasing your strength, or your speed, or your mind?
By altering your genes, can someone be able to have an enhanced ability? First, we need to understand what DNA is and how we inherit it.
DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and it is like a blueprint or recipe for determining your unique genetics. All human DNA is 99.9% identical to all other humans.
That 0.1% is what makes you different and is inherited from your parents and from the way they nurtured you. Each parent gives you 23 chromosomes, which makes up you. We become the people we are because of our genetics, nature, and our environment, nurture.
DNA is found in our cell's nucleus, which acts as the brain of the cell and tells the rest of the cell what to do. The DNA is a spiral staircase known as the double helix, which stores our genetic information as 4 chemical bases: A,
Adenine,
G,
guanine,
C,
cytosine,
and T,
thymine. The order of these bases determines the commands your cell receives to determine your specific characteristic, just like the letters of the alphabet appear in a certain order to form words or sentences.
DNA bases pair up with each other, A with T and C with G. Each base is attached to a sugar molecule and a phosphate group, creating a nucleotide. There are 3 billion nucleotides in our DNA. DNA is the universal language of life because all living things have these same 4 letters.
DNA holds certain unique characteristics like determining hair color. DNA cannot leave the nucleus of a cell, so it is photocopied in a process called transcription. In transcription, DNA gets copied into a single strand called RNA or ribonucleic acid. In this process, thymine turns into your cell.
The RNA leaves the nucleus, and the sequence of 4 letters gets decoded like a machine by the ribosomes in groups of 3 called codons. While decoding these letters, each codon creates an amino acid. The amino acids create proteins. This is called translation. Amino acids are known as the building blocks of life and are chemicals in each cell. There are 20 different kinds, and they each act as Legos, attaching together in different sequences, forming a protein.
Once scientists understood the basic structure of our DNA, they created maps of the genetic makeup of the human. This is called the Human Genome Project. The aim of this project was so that new drugs and genetic therapies can be developed to combat genetic disorders, and in our case, to help us understand how we can use genetic modification to get a special ability.
Using the map and DNA sequencing, gene therapy was created, and fighting genetic mutations became possible. For humans to transport an animal gene into themselves, they must use the method of gene therapy and DNA sequencing. One needs to find which sequence of letters carries a certain gene in order to replace it.
Gene therapy sends an extra DNA into your cells in the effort to replace a mutated gene. This DNA is often inserted into a virus, which then acts as the transportation to the cell. The virus binds to the cell and inserts the genetic material which replaces the damaged gene with the new gene. Gene therapy has been used to cure diseases like leukemia.
In recent studies, we have been able to increase strength in mice due to modifying their genes. Called Schwarzenegger mice, scientists injected a gene that created a specific protein, IGF-1, to increase their muscle mass by around 40%. But what if we want speed? Well, there's mice for that too. They were given a gene that coded a fat-burning protein, creating a marathon mice that could run faster and twice the distance. Then there's the mind. In 1999, researchers from Princeton University genetically modified mice called doggy in an effort to increase their intelligence. By inserting a gene called NRB2, which stimulated the receptor in the hippocampus, the mice exhibited increased memory and ability to learn.
Those are not the only genetic modifications successfully performed on animals. There are goats that produce spider silk, hypoallergenic cats, and a variety of glow-in-the-dark animals like glowfish. They gain their color by being given the GFP, the green fluorescent protein gene found in jellyfish and coral.
But here's where it gets complicated. Imagine you want to be taller. There's over 180 genes that contribute to your height, so which do we change? The exact control of where the new gene goes is limited, meaning it could react negatively, impacting your genes. For example, out of 30 patients treated with gene therapy for severe combined aminodeficiency, 5 developed cancer. But what does this mean?
If geneticists stay on this path of genetically modifying living organisms, you could be receiving some crazy abilities in a decade or so. Maybe they could be the strength of a gorilla by changing our muscle tissues, or absorbing energy from the sun like plants do, or generating electric charges the same way an electric eel might.
But is genetically modifying our DNA ethically correct? There have been many debates on whether we should just leave the way we are alone, so we don't judge people for their abilities, and so we don't give people the ability to cause World War III while attempting to create a superhuman army. As Catholics, we believe that genetic modification is like playing God, and we don't believe that we have that right. But the issue between religion will be much greater once everybody has these special abilities. We think this reason for genetic modification is selfish and therefore should not be allowed. But everyone is wondering, is having superpowers really worth it?
Do you believe that it is correct for us to change to make someone better than another? Comment below if you agree or disagree. And thanks for watching!